On 23.
On 23.
Yeah, it's on 23.
So many Ohio logistics buildings in town that is
Yeah.
confused, okay.
I was thinking about too.
Because I was thinking it was Jackson Township.
Yes. We can certainly have that conversation with ODOT, because they had, as part of the drive, they had to petition ODOT for a new drive that comes out on to 23, so we can certainly have that conversation with ODOT to see if they have considered that or would consider the speed.
Their authority, though, it's not ours, correct?
That's right, because we don't, that part isn't being annexed out, but we can certainly have a conversation knowing that that driveway is going in out there. Reach out to them.
I'm kind of confused though, because the annexation and the agreement seems to be tied in with the sewer and water supply and everything for this area and everything for facilities, but at the same time, that road was built and everything. Is there a pull-out lane or anything there?
No.
No.
No, it's just.
And I shouldn't be asked, or he shouldn't be asked to circumvent that whole thing. It should be done by you guys to get that done, instead of us trying to like come up with a different speed limit or some kind of whatever, so that there's not a bunch of, it's 100 mile an hour down there. So they leave town, it's 100 mile an hour. It's not 55. It's speed limits is off limit. And then you have a,
Skid marks on the road.
yeah,
That'll show you.
Mike, it sounds like, Mike, our problem is that it's outside the city limits, so it's not city of Fostoria. What we can do is appeal to ODOT, because it's their authority, and they're the ones who should slow down the speed limit as well as handle the turnout and that type of stuff.
But getting them to do
my
that.
thing is though, the annex shouldn't even start until that's taken care of.
Just to clarify the legislation, you guys are not approving or rejecting Ohio Logistics' plan for use of their own property. You would just approve or reject it being a part of the city. So it has nothing to do with how Ohio Logistics chooses to implement their new building.
You
But
can
what
say
about
what, you can say whatever you want. It is a part of it.
I'm just
It is a
saying-
part of it. You're just saying that because
just
you
saying
want it
the
to go through. I'm
legislation-
not going to argue with you. You need to make sure that this is
And
dealt with
we let
before.
you be way over your time.
Before.
We let you be way over your
Okay.
time, Mike. And I think what they're saying is that they can build whatever they want to on their property.
They can, but if you take appropriate actions and say, hey, we're not going to do this until this is accounted for, things will be fixed.
I'm simply explaining the legislation that is before you guys.
I understand. Hi, it's John again. I understand that. My main concern is safety. Okay, I got a grandson that's going to be coming to live with us, and he's going to be going to school. That means there's going to be a school bus stop in front of our house, picking him up, dropping him off. I don't want to wait till somebody gets hurt
And I think we all
before
understand
something
that.
is done.
And the point of the mayor was, the state service director, is that ODOT controls that road, we don't. And so we will talk to ODOT. As the mayor just said, he'll talk to ODOT.
Yes, I have sent an email, a couple of them, to ODOT before. They responded to me at first, and then after the project started, I never heard back from them again. And I even sent them another email requesting a response to it, and they said they would have to do a new study, but nobody ever got back to me. So I guess it needs to come from you people, with a little bit more clout than us, just residents,
The road doesn't come into city annexation, does it? No, just the.
The property is
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen, and ladies.
Yeah, I looked at that a year ago and I saw that issue. How do you pull a semi out there going north and not stop everybody coming up from behind? Same thing coming in, tangle left in there. I don't know. And the number of trucks, that's what concerned me too. I don't know.
That's their number, 40 to 60 is their
Yeah,
number.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Good evening, Mr. Later.
thank you.
Good evening. I'm going to piggyback on these gentlemen real quick because I get the 3 minutes. I understand
Name and address first.
Oh, I am so sorry. It's Jill Filiator, 402 West Culbertson Street. I'm going to be quick on this one because I have another issue I want to talk about. But when you're talking about annexation, if you're trying to annex that piece of property they are going to play ball with you and maybe have a lane that they'll be willing to do to get your annexation, because they'll become part of Fostoria. You have no control over that state route. That is state business. But if you guys don't get a turnaround or something similar like Manel Mill, they have a way when they don't back up all the way down county line. They've got some kind of way that they work when they have a lot of trucks. And they need to have that in place before we even consider annexing them, so that we have some playroom, so we have something. That's all I gotta say on that one. The main reason I want to talk today is I want to talk about what's about to transpire when you're talking about the emergency declaration between Director of Finance and the Director of Law. I attended the workshop. I understand that we did the job descriptions. I am having a hard time understanding why, if we changed all the rule and moved it up forward so that we could get candidates that didn't have to be in Fostoria, that my understanding, and I did ask my ward person to get clarification, is that we are only going to be advertising for the finance and not for the law also, even if it's only for a very short period of time. What is the purpose? What is the transparency? You've changed it to move for two different things, but it only appears that you're only focusing on one, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Fillier. Other members of the public side? Good evening, Pete.
Good evening. Pete DeCesar, 1033 Kennedy Lane, Fostoria. It's been a few months, almost a year since I've been here. A lot of changes. I just want to commend everybody for the choice they made for fire chief. I think Jason's going to do an excellent job. Also, want to go back to when we had the new police chief, brought in the same way, both in our local system for a long time, knows what's going on. I want to thank the commissioners for coming over and the work that's being done, FEDC, the commissioners, you guys. It's great to see people working together. Things will happen quicker. We'll have more growth. And I'm not here to argue with anybody. I'm here to just congratulate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caesar.
I'm Tony Paradiso, Seneca County Commissioner. Where's that PA system at? No, I'm looking at the,
All right,
it's on order, right?
I got you, yeah. Supply chain issue.
So, great,
You hold down the bar, that's all you have to do.
when I talk.
There you go.
Thank you, you can tell I haven't done this before. Great comments on the traffic. So the commissioners will write a letter to ODOT right away requesting a study, and I will also contact Senator Reineke. That's Wood County, that's not really his jurisdiction, right? But he will, we will follow up on a traffic study. That is township property. The state of Ohio approved that curb cut. They took everything in consideration when they do that. This might not be what you want to hear, but we argue with them all the time with county roads and township roads. The state is the state. So we can't get to them. I think comments from the public, letter from the mayor and council, letter from the commissioners would be great. And I will make sure that gets done. The annexation agreement that's currently in place, we had a lot of discussion. The township trustees really dug in and I think did a good job representing their constituents. I'm looking both ways, sorry. So with an annexation agreement, if someone in the city or someone contiguous wants to apply in, it's automatic. There's not a lot of discussion. In this case, we had a lot of discussion because the agreement had expired. And one of the conditions to extending the agreement was that the township trustees had a little bit of clout, right? Because there's no agreement, so now they can talk. And they did a really nice job. The the auditor and the engineer of the county got together, and that one parcel has two parcel numbers. So as Ohio Logistics comes in, the city, they will pay tax on the part that's in under one parcel number, and they will pay tax on the other parcel number for everything else, which will go to the township. It's kind of a unique arrangement. And so there were concessions made. Now the speed of the traffic is a great concern, and I heard you, and I don't like it either. So, but I don't think delaying the annexation action will at all affect the outcome. It'll just push it down the road. I think your intent is to have leverage so that we can go back and negotiate with the state. You have my assurance that we will be in Bowling Green. I know Commissioner Schuff, this is on your list. You talk all the time, and we'll send you a copy of the letter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other public comment tonight? Hello?
I had to save Judge Best for last. All right, so I'm back. It's been a few months since I've been on the bench. You're in my seat. So I'm going to stay down here. Is that all right? Okay.
Go get dinner.
All right, so Judge Best, I've been here on the bench for a little over 3 months now. I think we've made some really positive changes here at Municipal Court. I'm working on trying to address the problem of people not being here for court. That's been a real issue with notifications, so I'm going to try to reinstitute the text messaging system we have in place that hasn't been being used. So we're going to work on that. We're going to work on more communication. I'm actually pursuing a grant through the Supreme Court to allow for some technology upgrades that would allow probation to have a kiosk that would let people either remotely or in person update their contact information, so that way we can have better communication with the people that we're serving, to avoid warrants, to avoid unnecessary jail stints for people, and just overall communication between the court and the people that use it. So we're working really hard on that. So since the last time I was here, I went to new judge orientation, one of the best trainings I've ever been to. I've been to my first judges conference, made some great connections with other small jurisdiction judges, single judge courts that deal with some of the same issues that we have here. So I've made some of those connections. I'm also now officially a candidate on the ballot for the May primary. So I'd like to stay here and continue the positive changes that we've been trying to make here. And I can't do that without your votes. So I'm here to ask for everybody's support. I am having a meet and greet coming up at the Chandelier Event Center at the end of the month. I have that information for anyone that wants that. I also, any sign locations that anyone would want to provide, I can take down your address today. And I have a check for the splash pad. So I'm going to give that to Mr. Monell.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I actually have two. Well, first of all, I want to sincerely thank you for coming back. It is so rare that anyone comes here in the first place, let alone returns, and we really do appreciate the update, indeed. Secondly, just a logistical question. Do we, and I really don't know the answer to this, does the entire city vote on the Fostoria judge, or is that just Seneca County?
The entire county plus the portions that are in Wood and Hancock that are in the jurisdiction.
Okay, so if you're in the city of Fostoria,
Correct.
you would, I just
Yep.
didn't want to feel left out.
I'll take all your votes. Thank you.
Other public comment tonight?
I have one more. My issues aren't as concerning as what you people have been discussing, but I have an issue, and I'm sure other people do too. I don't understand why we can't get the water tasting better. Sometimes it tastes like bleach, and other times it tastes like mud. Who is responsible for that, and what can we do to fix it? Who's in charge of that?
That's our water treatment department.
Well, could you tell me? What can we do to fix it? This is not a new problem. It's been going on and on and on and
So
on.
this is the first I'm hearing that there's a continuing issue. My understanding was the taste and odor has, and I've tasted it and it tastes fine to me. Maybe I am wrong.
Maybe in the last week.
So it's been for months.
I was gonna say, my understanding-
It did have a dip in quality that, at least in my house, it did.
Well, and we have gained 3 foot of rain in the reservoir in the last about 2 weeks.
Well,
so
what has
does-
that got to do with, doesn't it go through a system? Are you in charge of the water?
I am in charge of the weight of the water treatment plant, actually, as I have a department head that runs the water treatment plant. But he knows way more about that than I do. And we do have a powder activated carbon feed system that's actually being built out of Independence right now.
So you're telling me that something is in place to improve
Yes,
the
ma'am.
way the water is processed and the taste should get better?
Correct.
In how many months?
My understanding, like I said, is that it had improved. Once this system's online, it should be first or second week of May, it'll be up and running. And that'll
Okay.
allow us to adjust that feed remotely.
Okay.
So then as things change at the plant, we can actually change that in real time.
Okay, then I'll just hold my comments and come back in May.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Love
you.
to see that. Okay. Anyone else? Very good. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Let us move forward with old business, please. At your leisure.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for the 2023 street resurfacing program, including pavement removal, surface planning, tack coat, and surface course of certain streets in the city of Fostoria, Ohio, according to specifications to be on file in the office of said mayor, and declaring an emergency to exist.
That is the third reading of that ordinance.
Move to adopt.
Second.
A motion to adopt by Mr. Cassidy, second by Mr. Shaver. Let's call roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza? Yes. Logsdon?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
And that becomes ordinance 2023-16. 2023-16. Next, please.
An ordinance to amend the traffic control map and file for the city of Fostoria, Ohio, and declaring an emergency, and this is for Fairway Drive and Wedgewood Drive.
That is the third reading of that.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Ms. Mendoza, second by Mr. Logsdon. Let's call roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yep.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza? Yes. Logsdon?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
That is 2023-17. 17. Look for first sign. There it is. And that concludes old business. We have some new business.
Right?
Whenever you're ready.
An ordinance establishing the job description and salary range for the position of full-time appointed director of finance for the city of Fostoria, Ohio, and declaring an emergency to exist.
That is the first reading, and before we move on this anymore, I'm sorry that I was not at the work session for this. I just want to make sure that everyone this is the salary range that was agreed on, because the low end of the salary range puts them as the lowest paid person in the office. I'm just making sure.
There was
That's all.
quite a bit of discussion on
Okay.
the salary range, and there was,
I was just a little concerned, forgive me if it's beyond my purview, but my sister-in-law is an accounting intern, and she makes $56,000.
I believe we discussed some budgeting issues
Okay?
with the current budget and where the people are currently placed,
Okay.
which we do find fairly egregious, but we haven't budgeted otherwise.
Okay.
Therefore, we also felt it was inappropriate to adjust that range at the bottom end that would reflect any sort of raise above what the current people are
Okay,
making.
I just
And
was
that
double
was the
checking.
rationale and logic behind that salary range. I do believe we had quite a bit of discussion about how egregiously low the low end is,
I apologize for
but
not being
legally,
here,
we wanted to keep it.
but I was
where it
just,
was.
when I read it, I was just double checking. So that is the first reading of that ordinance.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule on 3 separate occasions.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Shaver to suspend the 3 reading rule, second by Mr. Cassidy. Let's call roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza? Yes. Logsdon?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
And that rule has been suspended.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved to adopt by Mr. Lake, second by Mr. Shaver. Let's call roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza? Yes. Logsdon?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
That becomes 2023-18. 18. At your leisure, ma'am.
Okay. An ordinance establishing the job description and salary range for the position of part-time appointed director of law for the city of Foster, Ohio, and declaring an emergency to exist.
Discussion.
Reading.
I'd also like to iterate that we had a lengthy discussion about the salary range of this position as well, and for the same rationale, we kept it egregiously low because it reflects the exact salary that our current law director makes for budgeting reasons and what we felt were appropriate legal reasons. But we do want to emphasize that we do, as I can at least speak for myself, but I think council agreed they were egregiously low.
That is the first reading of that ordinance.
Move to suspend the 3 reading rule on 3 separate occasions.
I'll second that.
Move to suspend the 3 reading rule by Mr. Lake. It's seconded by Mr. Logston. Call the roll, please.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
Comes ordinance number 2023-19.
Not yet.
Oh, you're right. I apologize. Move to adopt by Mr. Cassidy. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Logston. Let's call the roll.
Cassidy was first.
Cassidy, then Logston.
Got it. Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Lake?
I
Yes.
haven't done that in a while. Now it's ordinance 2023-19.
You were due.
I always do. Quarterly. My quarterly error.
We learn from mistakes.
Indeed. When you are ready.
Okay. A resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Foster, Ohio to enter into an agreement with Seneca County to perform building code services for commercial projects and declaring an emergency to exist.
And that is the first reading of that one.
Move to waive the 3 reading rule.
Second.
We have a motion to waive the 3 reading rule by Mr. Manel, second by Mr. Cassidy. Let's call the roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
Watch this.
Move
Rule
to
has been
adopt.
waived.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Cassidy, second by Mr. Manel. Let's call the roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
That becomes 2023-20. 20. Next, please.
An ordinance accepting the annexation of certain parcels of real estate owned by Ohio Logistics LTD and declaring an emergency to exist.
That is the first reading of that ordinance.
Move to suspend the 3 reading rule on 3 separate occasions.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule by Mr. Lake, second by Mr. Shaver. Let's call the roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
That rule has been waived.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Lake, second by Mr. Shaver. Let's call the roll.
Manel?
Abstain.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
No.
Lake?
Yes.
That becomes ordinance 2023-21. 21. Where's that?
That was very thick.
Next, please.
An ordinance adopting an amendment to the 2023 financial recovery plan for the city of Fostoria and declaring an emergency.
That is the first reading of that. Next, please.
An ordinance adopting and amending ordinance number 2022-75, permanent 2023 appropriations by appropriating from unappropriated funds in the water fund and declaring an emergency.
That is the first reading of that. Next, please.
An ordinance adopting and amending ordinance number 2022-75, permanent 2023 appropriations by appropriating from unappropriated funds in the sewer fund and storm water fund and declaring an emergency.
First reading of that.
Make a motion to waive the 3 readings on 3 separate occasions.
Second.
Motion to waive the 3 reading rule by Mr. Logston, second by Mr. Cassidy. Let's call the roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
And Lake?
Yes.
That rule has been waived.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt by Mr. Cassidy, seconded by Mr. Shaver. Let's call the roll, please.
Manel,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Mendoza,
Yes.
Logsdon,
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
And that becomes ordinance 2023-22. And that concludes new business.
Mr. President, I move we go into executive session to discuss personnel matters, consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee with anticipated business to follow.
Second.
We have a motion to go into executive session by Mr. Shaver, second by Mr. Lake. Let's call the roll.
Manel,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Mendoza,
Yes.
Logsdon,
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
It is 7:18. We will be back to potentially do some business.
Minutes of the records commission.